Hey guys, I know it's been a while, but I want to clear up some misunderstandings that I see kind of occurring in Global about the unit. Arthur, um, I probably have contributed a little bit to this, but I think that some of the information I gave out about Arthur has kind of gotten a little bit overblown. So we're going to go over Arthur today, who he is, what he does, and why he is a good unit, and whether you should actually go for him or not. So, the first thing I want to clear up is like the comparison between Arthur and Black Killer Masamune. So they are not the same unit. Arthur is insanely high single target DPS, while Black Killer Masamune is a snowball sustained DPS type character. Now, do not get me wrong, under the right circumstances, Black Killer Masamune is actually capable of hitting more damage than Arthur. But that's if she's running Berserker and kills off her entire team. It details, right? Details. Arthur is pretty bulky. He's got some pretty insane defense stats, especially if you throw him with a defense leader skill. Um, he can really take a hit quite easily. He has access to sure hit, which is always nice. Um, Honestly, when Arthur came out, he was kind of Gumi's original answer to the Bolt Wind meta. Um, he was the first in a long string of really powerful fire units that they got to try to take down Bolt, none of which ever really succeeded. But yeah, that is Arthur. He is a super high single target DPS dealer. If you need one of those, he might be worth getting. But Mao, what about his jewel gain? You said before Arthur has terrible jewel gain. And you're right, I have. But I don't think it's as bad as I may have made it seem to be. It's not Berserker bad. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is not Berserker bad jewel gain. You can throw a jewel gain item onto him. The higher the better. But with a jewel gain item, he should not have too many issues getting jewels. However, you do need to make it a 15 jewel gain item. 10 does not cut it. It needs to be 15. In Japan, we have fixed Arthur's issue with the raid pouch, giving him 40 extra jewel gain, and this basically fixes him entirely in this particular instance. However, just keep in mind, with a 15 jewel gain item, he gains, I think, somewhere in the I want to say low 30s. I didn't actually test it before making this, and if we go into his skills here, you're going to see his 36 jewel skill right here. This is going to be his main attacking skill. This is what's going to be doing the bulk of that damage. So his actual nuke is not that high in jewel cost. It's not like a 50 or 60 jewel attack. It's only 36. If you have another unit there to pump jewels in him, that's great. It'll go even easier. And I have actually used that in the past on him in strats. Because when I got Arthur, he was my best fire unit. Just plain and simple. I used to use Arthur a lot. Right? So, his jewel gain, while it's not great, it's not irredeemable either. Okay? That's kind of what I want to get at. His jewel gain is not so bad, he's unusable. His jewel gain just makes him feel a little bit slow and clunky. But it's not like it's disqualifying for him as a unit. Now, his speed leaves a bit to be desired in today's meta. The Japan meta is basically like if you need like 170 to 200 to be like super viable. But in global, you should have absolutely no problems running Arthur. Now, you may have noticed that I don't have him Kaigen. And you're like, well, Mal, if you didn't Kaigen him, why should I Kaigen Arthur? Well, it's a resource thing more than anything. The Rainbow Kaigen collab frags, Gumi's been really stingy about handing them out in Japan recently, and we just really haven't gotten that many, so I just don't have the resources to Kaigen him, and that's really the answer here. My team is more or less just hard solo carried by my Black Killer Masamune. I have yet to run into fire content that she cannot complete. So, is Arthur necessary? No, he is not. Between the units such as Mara, along with all my fire mages, Dorothy, Daisy, Kaya, Arthur is not a mandatory unit. So, And you guys also have Aaron. You got to remember that too. So, should you pull for Arthur? Well, the first thing you should ask yourself is, do I have a Kaigen, Black Killer Masamune, or Aaron? If the answer is no, you should pull for him. If he has a guarantee. He probably is not going to if you get the same banner that we got. But is it worth a 500 step? Sure. You know? If you get a 500 step, maybe you get lucky. Maybe you don't. Whatever the case is, if you do not have Black Killer Masamune and you do not have Aaron, he is a unit that might very well be worth getting, as he will likely be your strongest fire unit for quite a while. Now, what if you have Black Killer Masamune and you have Aaron? Well, the question is do you want to stack on the fire damage? Because if you do, then he might be worth getting. He is incredibly high single target DPS. One thing I do want to point out in the Japan meta, bosses often can have somewhere between 30,000 to 100,000 HP. Having high damaging single target DPSers is never a bad thing. Arthur also offers Jewel Burn on his reactive, although it is kind of limited in how it can be used. It is a 2-space attack, and the Jewel Burn isn't incredibly high, but hey, it's something. As long as the enemies don't have jewel gain and they're standard mobs and not boss mobs, you should have no issue burning some jewels off of some mobs. Arthur can take the hits. He has 3,800 HP, and I think his HP is coming from the Gurren Blade. I think is the highest HP thing I have on him right now. So that's just flat before Kaigen. That's pretty good. Once you have him Kaigen to the gate 5, he should have at least 5 to 6,000 base HP before even putting an item or a leader skill on him. It's going to make him incredibly tanky and a nice unit to have. How does Arthur's long term look? Well, long term, I do think Arthur might be too slow to function in the meta. Black Killer Masamune has a snowball, which gets her up to the number she needs to hit. Like I said, I have yet to find content that she can't run. In fact, I even run her in content where she probably isn't even ideal. She's that powerful. But Arthur is definitely a solid option. Now, what do you need to make Arthur viable? Well, you're going to want his sword. I'm going to tell you that right now. And to get that, you're going to want his Nenso. With any luck, you guys will get a better banner than we did, but if not, well, you're basically screwed. So, the biggest thing I can say, right? Look at the banners before you start pulling for Arthur. Before you count this guy out, because this guy is good. Don't get me wrong, he's good. He's not Black Killer Masamune. I'll tell you that right now. He's not Black Killer Masamune, but he is good. Look at the banners, look at your gems, and make a smart, informed decision. Do I need this guy or do I not need this guy? If the banners are reasonable, and you think you might want him, just go ahead and get him. He is a good unit, after all. And even though they have been stingier with collab Kaigen frags, they do still exist. You know, it's not like they disappeared, and you can buy them for like flat unit shard rates like every time collabs come around. So it's not like it's impossible to get your hands on these things. Yeah, that's really all I have to say on the subject. The banners are really gonna be what's gonna determine whether Arthur is worth getting or not. Remember that you do need fire shards, and I know a lot of you are out of fire shards because anyone who has Black Killer Masamune and Aaron is likely out of fire shards. I do not think Arthur is worth rainbows. I will say that much. I do not think he's worth your rainbows unless you're like a new player and you need anything. He's probably not worth rainbows. I'd save those for better units. But he's definitely not just to skip this because he's bad unit. Definitely not. And so yeah, I am going to wrap this up here. Now, I know I have not posted a lot of content recently, and there is a reason for it. Turns out Takatame is not the only game I play. So I also play a game called Path of Exiles. I'm sure some of you may have heard of it. And they currently are in a new league, and the best time to play Path of Exiles is at the very beginning of a league. Leagues last 3 months, so every 3 months you can pretty much expect this lull. There was a similar lull at the beginning of the last league of PoE, but it wasn't as noticeable because I kind of dropped out of the league kind of quick, because I just didn't, I wasn't a fan of some of the stuff that got upgraded. It's not that the other stuff was bad, it's, You just want to play the new stuff, and I just didn't like the new stuff. But this league, I got a nice character. I'm a necromancer this time around, and I have a minion build that can output up to like 70 minions at once onto the screen that just go around and murder everything, and I can just play the game with a single mouse. Because I've just kind of set it up that way. It's a good game. It's not for everyone. It's for anyone who's ever played Diablo. It's a similar style game. It's an action RPG. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing with my time recently. As the league drags on, I will likely be moving back into Tagatame. But I mean, there are other games that I do play, so it's not like I'm on Tagatame all the time. The other thing that is kind of the reason I haven't put out much content is because all of the updates Global has gotten recently, I've already done videos on. I already did a video on Merlinus. I already did a video on Chloe. So there's just no reasons for me to revisit things unless it's like Arthur here, where clearly some clarification was needed because the kind of discussion that I'm seeing in places like Reddit, it's not right. The inferences and the conclusions that a lot of people seem to have drawn about this character are just unfounded and exaggerated, to say the least. Not to say, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily blaming these people. They could have just interpreted what I said wrong, or I could have spoken it poorly. That is, I do admittedly have a tendency for a bit of hyperbole. I will admit that much. But yeah, I think that my words were taken a little too seriously, which is why I wanted to come and make this clarification. So yeah, in other news, Tamamo is getting a job plus tomorrow in Japan, and her Nenso is free, so you can expect a video from me in a day or two, because Tamamo is definitely one of my favorite design characters. I've never really used her much, because she's always been kind of weak, but the faithful shall be rewarded. I already have her Gate 5 farmed out, so I'll be able to max that out immediately when it drops tomorrow, as well as when I get her job plus, and I'll be immediately able to review it. So thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for dropping by. Like I said, there will be more videos. I have not quit. I'm not gone. I just have been doing some other things recently, and a change of pace is good every now and then. I do now have my Sieba up a little bit, and she is ready to go for review, so you can expect her pretty soon as well. And if I do Sieba, I will likely do Noin as well, as I know many of you have been asking for that. But I'd wait a little bit for that. I'm still trying to get as much done in this new league in PoE as I can, as at the very beginning of the league is when items cost the most, so it's more cost efficient and time efficient to do your grinding at the beginning of the league than later. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching as always, and I will see you next time.